Good evening, everyone. My name is Lavanya, and we have a very interesting topic, and we have a very well-recognized panel to actually talk about this topic. I think so. The need of the hour is actually to expand into Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and this has been the topic which most of the brands have been talking about at this point of time. Today, as part of this panel, we will actually try to decode what it means to get into Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. And we have different facets of the panel. I'll try to cover most of the topics, whether it's from consumer, real estate, product positioning, what are the challenges, what are things what brands have to look out as they are moving into the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So with that, I'll first start with you, sir. I think so, like we have been hearing lifestyle really getting into the expansion, and, we did hear that most of your stores are going to come from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. What is the strategy around Tier 2, Tier 3 cities? Do you think the departmental stores, especially the premium ones, will do well in these cities? How is the brand connect going to be as you kind of expand into these cities, sir?
Yeah. Thank you. See, the embarking of expanding the lifestyle stores into the Tier 2, still we are not gone to the Tier 3 yet. Tier 2 has started about 4 or 5 years back, and we felt that there is a need because the online has started reaching to those kind of towns, and a lot more of customers are embracing to the fashion retail, and the social media marketing is also getting reaching to multiple consumers in those cities, and the customer aspirations are going up. So that's how we embarked the journey somewhere around 2017-18, and after that COVID has put a little bit of a slowness. But of course, if you ask me, out of 100 plus stores that we have, close to about 25-30 stores are in Tier 2, right? So the journey started, and then as usual we have started with the south as the base, where we went to the district towns, and the acceptance have been very good, right? But it has had a mixed bag of reactions, I would say. Customers who knows lifestyle or a large format fashion departmental store, they felt that we have gone in a lower size. The number of brand that is being available is not commensurate to what it is. They have seen it in the Tier 1 or a metro cities, which are larger store of 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 square feet. So that is one part of the feel that we have got. And the second is the sustainability model, because these cities have got a very cyclical business thing, unless during its occasion-based buying is very high. And most of the fashion evolved customers are anyway exposed to their the nearby Tier 1 or metro cities where they are employed. So most of the buying happens when they are in the work spot, and it happens only the occasion, and the customers' feels were also different. Now, with this mixed observation, what we have decided is that now we will not go on the smaller stores. Even in a Tier 2 market, we look at about a 25,000 square feet, a large format, and relatively bring in all the kind of brands, if not the luxury or the premium, at least definitely for the consumers, it doesn't pinch the pocket. And merchandising management during the occasion is becoming a more important thing. These are all our learnings. That's why we are embarking the journey. And definitely not plan to have the Tier 3 in the model for at least next couple of years.
Okay. So do you have any Tier 2 cities on top out there, based on your experience? Are there any top names which come into your mind?
See, we have, if I take south, we have as latest as we have opened in Erode, which is about 80 kilometers or 90 kilometers out of Coimbatore, where we have already 3 lifestyle stores, but still we went and opened a 24,000 square feet lifestyle store there, which has been very, very well accepted. And the store has taken off well. Now we'll be opening in Salem, we are signing it in Vellore. So if we take the Andhra, that we opened in Guntur, we opened in Kurnool, and in Kerala, we are getting into towns like Trichur, Calicut, Cochin, and Trivandrum. We are already there. Now we have signed up with Trichur also. Trichur is going to have the second store of lifestyle, which is going to be a larger and better looking store. So when it comes to even north, we have gone into Patiala, Okay, we are opening the second store in Dehradun. We are looking at opening in Jalandhar, right? So definitely the towns of more than 5 lakh population is what is going to be the towns which we'll be looking at, because these towns will have little bit of a cyclical business. Whereas for an organized retail, unless you have a threshold business every month, defraying the cost of establishment is always very difficult. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. So moving to Pulak quickly, you obviously represent Puma, one of the sports iconic brand in India. How do you think the sporting landscape is as such changing in Tier 2, Tier 3? Definitely in metro, you do see people becoming more conscious, adapting probably active lifestyle. Do you see that happening in Tier 2, Tier 3 city too?
No, absolutely. The sports scene is fast changing in India, and not only in the metro cities, but also in the smaller towns. I feel that India is at a cusp of a fitness revolution, a revolution of running. You can see so many more runners on the streets.
Yep.
Talking of running, now you have half marathons and full marathon in each of the towns of the country. Coming to cricket, we know that some of the best cricketers that India produce comes from these small towns. So these small towns, each of them have professional academies. They just need involvement. They just need the right equipment, and the scope is huge. So like we as a brand, we work closely with these academies directly, and more than the revenue stream, which is obviously there, I think as a brand, we have a responsibility also to help these kids or adults play sports, provide them the right equipment. Then it can be the right cricket bat or the gloves or the pads. Take, for example, volleyball, okay? Small towns in Assam. So there are 2,100 kids in a small town in Assam from 93 villages around that place, and they come together and form the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. So
That's
this is like
interesting.
an upliftment of a different level itself. So huge demand for sporting equipment, and revenue model for sure.
Definitely. There is always an incentive to catch them young, right? So where they kind of get used to your brand, and from there the growth journey definitely starting. Quickly moving to Saurabh. Saurabh, obviously you represent a premium brand, Latin Quarters, very Western-based clothing. How is Tier 2, Tier 3 changing for you? Like how in the landscape, obviously India is still a very conservative and a traditional society in a lot of ways. How do you think is the landscape changing for you, and what are your Tier 2, Tier 3 expansion plans?
So the way we look at it is we feel, so currently 50% of us, sorry, close it? Okay.
Yeah.
50% of the stores are contributing about 35% of the revenue for us. And we feel that number is going to stay, the growth is coming from the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, at least for us. And I think that's going to accelerate going forward. That trend is not slowing down anytime soon. Also, we feel the rent revenue ratios work out better for us in these towns. There is obviously rapid urbanization happening. There is an appetite for Western wear. I mean, we see that as a workwear, there's a much larger acceptance as workwear, as everyday casual wear. So I think that is a trend that we have seen over the past few years. I mean, even in our own lives and offices, we've seen that trend change. So we are quite positive as far as the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities is concerned. Obviously, like you touched upon, I think India is a country, there's a lot of countries within India. So there's a lot of cultural nuance, there's a lot of design sensibilities, and I think we need to be careful in our approach. We need to kind of customize our offerings to make ourselves relevant for the people in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. I think this cookie cutter approach will not work. And I think this, at least for us, this misconception in terms of, the value-seeking customer is somehow, I think, a failure of brands to kind of offer the right and the relevant product. So I think if you have the right product, I think if you have an understanding and if you can kind of customize your offerings, I am actually quite positive going forward on this Bharat story, as we call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. The right product at the right price is the Bharat story. I totally agree. So quickly moving on, I think so. You're the fourth generation entrepreneur. You have seen it kind of all. Literally came up. Know the most. Like among all of us knows the consumer the best. How is Northeast, like how is Northeast as a market? All brands recognize that that is the market what you need to penetrate. Like there's no doubt. Even as we always talk about, even in Zivame, that how do you kind of penetrate Northeast? How, can you just like throw out some nuances of the market and how to kind of develop that market for the brands?
I mean, you have Northeast is the hotbed now in terms of market adaptability of brand, be it market expansion, only because of the simple fact that people out there are ever experimental now, really aspirational. They want to catch the train, they want to catch the frenzy of being, looking modern, being up there right at the market, being up there at the table. So Northeast, yes, it underlies a very promising area to be in. Coming to the part, I've resonated with he brought on an example of that volleyball team in Assam. I mean, there are a lot of sport is in their blood. Shillong Football Club. I'm sure a lot of you guys would know. It's one of the biggest football club in India in terms of matches that have won, in terms of matches that they have participated. And you have got one of the finest football players now getting into national football team, which is coming from states like Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Assam. So, this is the beauty of Northeast. This is the beauty of small town per se. People, they are opening up. They are getting in the mainstream. They want to experiment. They want to come up to the front. They want to experiment with brands. They want to, adore brands, adapt brands. So this is what is actually kicking the business in Northeast and primarily Tier 2 and Tier 3, because Northeast is primarily described by Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4 town. I myself come from a town which has a population of 35,000, that's it. So, but the aspiration of people out there is humongous. I mean, it's never less than the Bombays and the Bangalores of the world. I mean, we have times in a calendar year where Levi's 9,000 pair of jeans sells like hotcake, and people are kind of ever demanding about those kind of products. So yes, the small town story is gonna get bigger and bigger from now on, as in when a lot of market participants enter the market, a lot of new offerings come into the market, a lot of new experiences come into the market. People are ready to imbibe that. So I think yes, the small town story is the key now.
So Vikram, a follow-up question on that. See, usually we always feel Northeast is a highly fashionable, market. People are highly fashionable. A lot of fashion comes from Northeast. How do you think, are they value-seeking customers or premiumization, or they are like premium customers? Like, how do you view the consumers of Northeast?
So primarily the consumers of Northeast, they are very, very formal kind of consumers. They're very subtle, not very frenzy. So in terms of value seeking, yes, they're value seeking, but you get to present your brand or product in the right way. That value, I mean, they seek value probably in a pair of an Armani jeans. They might seek a value in a pair of Armani jeans, but that has to strike right with their, utility index. So value for them is about what experience you give them through your brand, through your product, how well you attach with them, how you can, derive the journey, you can create the journey with them, be with them for the longest period of time. I mean, the loyalty index of Northeast consumers are very high. I mean, I've traveled across the length and breadth of country, but I can say this to you that, the loyalty index of customers out there is very high. I mean, if you strike the right chord with them, they're going to stick to you, ever since.
Very, very interesting. Coming to you, sir, I think so we all spoke and you also kind of touched upon, the rent, the cost of running a store and all that. Does it make economic sense to actually expand into tier 2, tier 3,
See, I don't see a problem only from the real estate cost point of view.
Yeah.
Because first of all, the kind of floor plate that we need to get in a tier 2 for 10,000 to 12,000 square feet to put up even in a multi-level store, the availability of the real estate itself is the first challenge. The sense that the prime markets are age-old historical markets where you will be more of own small stores, and getting a large space itself is a big challenge, and naturally you have to go out of the CBD of the particular town. So after it, what I could see is that most of the tier 2 towns are expanding, right? And then we are able to see the roads are becoming wider, and especially there is a bypass roads are getting, or ring roads are getting done, and that is where the movement is happening. So the residential sectors are also moving in that direction. So the challenge not on the cost, but on the availability is concerned first.
Okay.
So the cost is a factor which, of course, in the long run, the cost sustainability is what we need to look at it, because these towns' growth potential will always be limited. Because, as I mentioned, it is the occasion-based buying, right? So you'll see peaks in couple of times in a year. Otherwise, it will be more settled in the rest of the years. So the challenge for the retailer or the brand is to get the customer connect and educate the customer, and then ensure the merchandise or the brand mix what is available in the particular store is meeting the minds and the requirement of the consumer at different point of time. If this formula is getting correctly addressed, I don't see in the long run you'll have a problem, because definitely the cost of occupancy is not that high as in a tier 1 or a metro cities when it go to tier 2 and tier 3. Yeah. So I don't see a major problem on the cost perspective, but the operational cost will always be in the test, because organized retail always comes at a particular cost, unlike franchisee-owned business which is being operated. So most of the brand, not the customers are not known to the brand, and it's not the brands have not gone to the tier 2 and tier 3. They are already there, but in a different format. When it comes to the way that you are positioning your store and the cost of operations, where we need to strike a balance between these two. I don't see, ultimately the company has to grow at some point of time in terms of volume. We have to look at tier 2 and tier 3, right? So for a companies like us, we have multiple formats. We are into fashion retailing, high-end, like a lifestyle departmental store. Then we have a Max, which is a value fashion. And so there is always an opportunity for us to maintain some kind of a correlation between both the brands and then keep it growing.
Absolutely. Pulak, next to you. I think so one of the things what I read about Puma is that they're going to make everything sustainable by 2025, at least most of the materials, what goes into developing that product. How do you think is sustainability as a, like an offering different to a tier 2, tier 3 consumer? Like, do they, kind of embrace sustainability? What's your take on that?
So on sustainability, okay. So when a customer buys Puma, he's buying an aspiration, right? So, and a big part of that aspiration is our sustainability promise. So apart from the consumer's desire to emulate a Virat Kohli, or buy a product promise which is durable, long-lasting, comfortable, he also has this promise from the brand that the materials that go into our product are top-notch. They are not going to harm the climate, and that's what differentiates the customer from his peers in that market. So yes, markup may be a concern for the customer who is buying into this. But then that's what we do, that we package our recyclable goods, recyclable products, or the biodegradable products in a way that the customer doesn't have to pay extra. Finally, I think the kind of retail headwinds that we have seen in the last 7-8 months, the customer is also looking for products that last long. And this is where Puma pitches in, wherein the higher levels of testing that we do and the quality of materials that we use ensure that our footwear, our apparel can last a very long time. So this is, again, a very big sustainability plank that I see from the brand.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, please, Vikram.
I think the point, Polak, that you told about sustainability, in small town, it is a very peculiar characteristic. Customers are, yes, value conscious, but they are quality conscious. And that's where the question of sustainability comes in. I mean, you got to have the right quality of product. I mean, the quality matters a lot to them, because that creates the, utility value in their mind, and then that whole journey of providing good quality, being with them with, summed up with good marketing thing, that creates that loyalty. So yes, I mean, a good quality, having sustainable quality product really works well in small towns, tier 2. I mean, more than the value, they are a little more quality, focused.
Absolutely. I think so, the brands also recognize that sustainability has to be their key priority, and we do see that the consumers adapt to the initiatives what the brands are are adapting at this point of time. Quickly coming to you, Saurabh, omni retail is one of the key things what people are talking about, right? So while we all spoke about only retail expansion, how do you think expansion through omni retail is something which your brand is looking out for? Like, like a tier 2, tier 3, or even a tier 4 is easily accessible through the digital method. How are you factoring in omni retail into your retail expansion strategy?
So I think omni has been the buzzword for the last few years. I think we've all spoken about it, and that's something that I think all brands have kind of aspired to, make successful. Having said that, I mean, we are omni-channel. We do have our stores live, all the products live. The key challenge really is exposing all of your inventory at all of your point of sales. So it can't just be what's in your store. I think it also has to be, the entire range of product has to be available. And it does help with some size issues as well. I mean, in terms of not losing what you may not have available at the stores. But I think what we had envisioned when we had kind of started this digitization process, the kind of, the percentage share that we were expecting has not really materialized in that way. I think still, for us at least, it's still a touch and feel thing where the customer wants to experience what's in stores. They want to feel the fabric. They want to try it on and see exactly what's happening and how they look. And it's not due to lack of trying. But it's just that so far I don't see that to be, the kind of a game changer that we had envisioned maybe a few years ago, at least for us. I don't know, maybe other panelists would like to share their experience as well.
What about for others? How is it for Puma, for lifestyle? Is the experience been different?
See, we started the omni-channel experience as a back-end workshops as late as, last as 2015. So we had a workshop 2 days, and this is where the things are going to shape as the online commerce is getting momentum. So we took a lot of baby steps. One, that, how do we make the customer ensure there is no frictionless, first of all, to start with the exchange. Buy online, return offline, or exchange the product, or vice versa, and things like that. And the store deliveries are made, so customers can come and pick up the product. So it was actually helping both kind of retail. The customer comes to pick up the product, just the package from there, they happen to see the kind of products. And then we started getting in the kiosk, which has been there available in the stores. They're able to see all the kind of products, what is available. So the Omni has been in the system for almost 7, 8 years. As we stepped up more into Omni online retail, initially we started with the landmark shops.com, that which then we converted into individual brand specific lifestyle stores, Max, etc., etc. So we are able to get more and more connect. As the brick and mortar retail was also expanding, the number of pin code that we are able to reach has become much more, and the customers appreciate because they felt it's easier for them. Research, the ROPO has becoming getting stronger. I mean, research offline, online and then buy offline and vice versa. So all those things actually cemented. And this is not the journey which is going to stop at any point of time, because from the omni commerce now it has gone to digital commerce and then experience. That's what the experience are coming. Now the latest is what we are trying to pursue is that how do we differentiate the shopping experience in the store, even in a smaller towns, whether a tier 1 or a tier 2 or tier 3. How do we differentiate the shopping experience is what that we are going to do, because that's how the stores are becoming a larger size, so that we are able to give a larger breather space, more variety, and the customers are able to freely move around, buy, and the service what we are giving is much better, so that even if the brand is already exposed to that particular town, the experience what the large fashion format store is able to give will make the customers more embracing into a much more organized retail. That's why the Western style.
Absolutely. Pulak, any other thoughts on omni retail? Like how is that turning out for Puma, especially the tier 2, tier 3
Frankly,
expansion?
I agree with Saurabh over here. Omni has been there for quite some time, but there are clear challenges. There are tech challenges. We have been able to make some strides here, wherein, let's say, a customer coming into our stores is also exposed to the online inventory, but not the other way around. So this will need an overall technology overhaul, for which we have now committed, and hopefully I think in the next 6 months to 1 year, our aim is to be a seamless experience for the customer online and offline.
Absolutely. I just want to share experience on Zivame at this point of time. We obviously started more as a tech-first company and then moved into retail. So our journey has been quite reverse than most of the brands what we have taken, and we do see that the acceptance of the product in tier 2, tier 3 cities is much more, so digitally available. The consumers do not have access to the products, the brands out there. So we do see significant amount of our revenue actually coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities more through digitally. So yes, I agree that the solve there is the digital, how you're able to give the plethora of products on the platform, and you're able to service it through your supply chain actually lies out there. I know he's looking at me. I'm just going to open the floor for any questions. I know you've been pointing at the time. We just have a couple of minutes before we close. So if there is any questions on the floor for the panel, I would just want to give that opportunity for people to ask any questions if it's there. Okay, there's someone there. Yeah.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much for that insightful conversation. I wanted to ask on the omni-channel front. Right now, there are different try-on solutions and everything that try to engage customers at the end of the day to not maybe give the feel of the garment, the touch and feel of the garment, but give you a lot more information via 3D, via telling people the right size. What is your take on those technologies?
See, digital commerce is evolving day by day. See, from 2D to 3D, and then the videos and different kind of, this thing. Now we are in a store also that they've got a magic mirrors have started coming in, so where they'll be able to see it. But end of the day, what my experience when I had been managing the business of Max, the customer who is already exposed to the brand, and they are very clear, this is the category of product, this is the size it will fit for me, then it becomes very seamless. So they just go on ordering online and they take it, and the returns are the minimalistic. But when it comes to the, the theory of actually what we give as a collection, right? Or even you give us the theme-based product, right, or any new introduction, it always customer want to experience the product. 3D can still address to a certain extent, but the customer what they get the feel of touching the garment and buying, that is where the customer is satisfied, right? Otherwise, what will happen is the buying will happen, but the returns may be very high, right? So that is where the organized retail has to remain both online and offline. So you can't manage only with one channel when it comes to fashion retail is concerned. This is my take and in my experience.
But sir, if someone is already exposed to the right size and there is a collection, he or she still buys 3 different designs of the right size, wears what looks good on them and returns the rest, which is not a
I'm
fit
sure that 3D technology will be adopted, okay, but everything is coming at a particular pace and cost and then experience of the consumers. It will take some time, but I'm sure digital commerce is going towards in that direction because I could see as a consumer, I could see a lot of change in the way that, products are being available online and how the customer is able to look at the multiple level products, whether it's when it becomes a electronic or those kind of products, it becomes more informative. And when it comes to fashion retail, little bit tricky, but brands are embracing towards that particular thing. I'm sure 3D technology will address the gap a bit, but it cannot completely eradicate the customer's touch and feel experience. That will remain.
Of course, the online experience can only grow.
Yes.
Getting more questions, I'm going to charge you.
Yeah. With that, any last thoughts? Or it was a pleasure talking to you.
Hello. Excuse me. I have one more question. I'm from Pollachi in Coimbatore district. I have a sewing factory near Tirupur, and we just started making our own brands. We do job works. So I'm contemplating different ideas how to promote our brand. We put in Myntra and Amazon, and 2 years back it didn't go well, logistic issues. So we have stopped that.
We can't hear you. Can you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have launched a small brand in our sewing factory based in Tirupur, and we are contemplating different ideas about brand promotion. Can you give us some idea, because when we approach the bigger retailers, they won't even let us in. So as a small brand based in a small town, and I am targeting just few districts, Coimbatore, Tirupur, around like that. And we have a capacity to make like 30,000 pieces per month, like 1,000 pieces per day. So I'm thinking in small terms only. I want to sell 1,000 pieces per day in our district through omni channels. Can you give some idea how we go about it? Thank you.
See, first of all, in fashion retail, for you to reach the customer today, the easiest method is to get into online. First, you have to reach the customer, that your brand has to be communicated, that yes, I am there. Okay, because the cost of establishing number of physical stores will be higher, and then the entry cost will be very high for you, yeah, right? Yeah. So first you need to get into that, and then slowly, since you are very clear that I want to be within the radius of 3 or 4 districts around for me to create the brand, yeah, and you can definitely go into those kind of, if not the tier 1 cities, but definitely tier 2, yeah, where affordability factor will be less, and then you have to take a baby step of starting a 600, 700 square feet store, because I don't know much about your product, range, depth, etc. So those things will matter for you to decide what kind of size it will help you. Yes. And the easiest way is to reach your product is only through online today, because the social media is traversing a lot, right? Yes, sir. And next you have to add into the brick and mortar stores in a small way. Then only you'll get the popularity, because customers have to see your brand both online and offline for you to get accepted.
We have a rack outside. Maybe
I think I will just add to Raghu's point yes, on the small town thing. In a small town, people want experience, and shopping is a therapy for them, and it's an experience-based thing. When it's not like just getting out in the market, buying a product, and coming back to home, they want an experience. About the online thing, hyper-local delivery model would be a good option. You start with 30-40 kilometer radius from your warehouse point, see the market, how they are responding back to you, And then, then you, within a year, 2 year time, when you have a substantial amount of experience, a substantial amount of maturity in terms of how customers are responding to you, you can go out and then you can tell people, okay, I'm here with you with a physical presence. We are serving the same stuff that you have been getting through delivery. And that's how you will build that complete network, complete, that loyalty against your brand. I mean, hyper local delivery in small town would, because this would contain the cost also, and customers can always come to you, right, like anything. So I think that would be a good way to start.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, audience, for the questions, and thank you, panelists, for a very candid conversation.